Welcome to Have a Drink with Me. I'm your host, Dylan Polniak, and joining me today is YouTube producer with the group Corridor Digital, Christian Fergerstrom. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. This is super cool.
I'm very excited to have you on the show because we met 5 years ago.
Oh man, was it that long ago? Oh man.
We agreed before recording that we were going to have this kind of be the drinking story of the episode. And we are drinking bourbon.
Yeah, I'm drinking. Just polishing off my bottle of Basil Hayden's, and then if I get through this one glass, I'll be moving on to some Buffalo Trace.
Oh, nice. I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do, so I grabbed Rebel Yell from Circus Liquor. I wanted to try something new, and we're going to talk about Star Wars a little bit on this episode. So,
Yeah.
Rebels.
Oh, nice. I like it.
Christian, yeah, you and I met
Yeah.
5 years ago on a YouTube shoot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'd love to. I'd love to hear from your perspective of how you got involved in the show, and then I can tell you where I come from on the whole thing.
Yeah, so I'm not going to talk about the YouTube channel specifically or who
Okay.
it was, but someone reached out to me, a fellow comedian reached out and said that this guy is casting a show for bachelors, and basically we would go on a big Hollywood scavenger hunt and earn points doing dumb shit, and whoever got the most points ended up getting this dream bachelor party thrown. It was in Encino with a bunch of strippers and ladies of porn.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you knew this, but we were all single.
Yeah. No. Yeah. That was
And
the idea.
yeah, and I was told that I had to pretend to have a fiance and stuff, and I had to talk about her and all this stuff. So I made up that I was in a relationship with my roommate at the time, Alyssa, who was like, "Yeah, sure, go along with it." And
Oh, interesting. Actually, I didn't know that until I asked you. I think I was like, are you actually getting married?" And I think it was pretty obvious that you weren't.
yeah,
But yeah, no, actually going into that, I didn't because I wasn't necessarily one of the head producers on this thing. I was, you could call me a talent wrangler or on the
yeah.
talent team. So, and that was a specific project that I just got to kind of go along for the ride on, and I didn't get too much into the planning of that specific show, but I was right in the mix alongside you.
And at that time, three of us were comedians and actors, and one of the other guys who I had just met for the first time that
Oh,
day
wow.
was he was in casting, so he was the one who found out about it and basically said, "Okay, so
I'm gonna put a group together.
yeah, we're not comedians, we're celebrating Dylan getting married and all this stuff." And so yeah, we just kind of wung it. We were like, okay, we're basically like four comedians. We get to get paid to run around Hollywood, get drunk, and
Yeah.
do stupid stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea of the show was is a bachelor party competition. I remember, yeah, like you said, it was this. We were just trying to do this kind of X-rated, not X-rated, but more just like kind of adult style
Yeah.
show. And the idea was that let's get two competing bachelor parties to, basically go into competition style and complete challenges across the city while we rent out a party bus and we provide all the alcohol
Mm-hmm.
and we just try to make them do crazy stuff on camera, ultimately to win this big, porn star thriving party at the end of the day. This the biggest bachelor party you can imagine. So
Mm-hmm.
you were on the winning team, actually.
Yeah, and we had no idea who the host of the show was.
Mm,
And then finally, Nick, the main producer on it, he
yeah,
said, "Hey, just so you guys know, that guy's the host of this, so you guys kind of have to like let him talk." We're like, "Oh, okay,
yeah.
interesting to do." But I actually just came across some of the photos from that night.
Oh, wow. Just on your phone or something, or you came across them or the official photos?
I don't think it was ever released.
Yeah, no, they ended up not being a show that got picked up. I know, they repurposed some of the other scenes that were, not that didn't involve you guys, but some of the other stuff that we were going to put together with it was
Mhm.
repurposed for another show, but it didn't ultimately become a bachelor party competition show now.
Yeah, I still got the bachelor party though.
No, no, you definitely did. Yeah, that was a fun day for sure.
Yeah, and then in May of this year, I was watching VFX artists react,
Oh, huh.
and you were like in the background. I was like, "Holy shit!"
Oh, you just stumbled upon me
Yeah,
being with the corridor guys now.
Yeah, and then I started watching Corridor, and to the point where I've run out of stuff on YouTube to watch. And
Nice,
I'm part of the Corridor website. The monthly,
dude. Oh wow,
just because I love the content so much. But it's so different from what I met you
it's
on.
from what I was doing before for sure.
Yeah, I have a photo of me dressed as a schoolgirl.
Yeah, on Hollywood Boulevard.
Yep, and I had to walk around Hollywood Boulevard and get someone's phone number, and I got someone's phone number the second I walked out of the store. Yeah. Yeah, so they were like, "Go ahead and can you run and get some more people just so we have some more footage of you, like, asking people?" And
Yeah, totally. You're producing that show. You're kind of you still need to get what you need to get when you're doing a show like that. So,
mhm,
a lot of it is hyper realized or whatever, or you fake it to get what you need.
yeah,
And that's just how a lot of those shows are made.
and then we had moments where people had to get waxed.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much anything you can imagine. I mean,
Yep,
we were randomly grabbing dancers off the street and bringing them onto the party bus. We went to a waxing shop to see what areas of your body you would get waxed at. Obviously, we went into the costume shop and you got dressed up and had to get somebody's phone number. I mean, we really tried to put you through the ringer on that one, I
yeah,
suppose. Make you earn that bachelor party.
and we had nothing to lose, which which was probably not good for TV.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, it was kind of just like, oh yeah, that was, I think I don't know if that was ever revealed, but like everybody did everything, so obviously we didn't bring it too far. We actually
Yeah,
ultimately both bachelor parties actually did every single challenge, and so it came down to the producers having a conversation, being like, which group is going to be better on camera for the party.
yeah,
It wasn't about who actually won, so the stakes weren't they didn't end up being anything, and it was the producers choosing the best party that would be the best characters, and you and your crew were way more entertaining than the other ones. So I know the other ones were very pissed because they did every challenge and they expected to get the bachelor party, you
yeah.
know. But we gave it to the people that would be best on camera. So that's just how it goes sometimes. That's for sure.
Yeah, I feel bad because so the people in our group, I didn't get waxed, but we had 2 people on
Yeah,
our team that got
yeah.
waxed, but it was all below the belt, where the other team that we were against had to have their eyebrows waxed off, or at least one of them.
Which is probably why we were like, that was one of the tipping points too. Is like, you know what? Hey, they got waxed below the belt. They really should get the party because they'll be way more mad than the other team.
Yeah.
If we don't give it to them. So it's a weird kind of business like that when you're doing a show like that. It's so interesting times in my life. It's like you said, it's way different than what I'm doing now. But there's also, obviously those are some of my funnest memories also.
Yeah. It's way different for me now too because I actually am married now.
Yeah, I was gonna say I saw that. So I had this weird flashback. I saw, we're friends on Facebook, so I saw that you were getting married, and I was kind of like, wait, was this the one he was engaged to during the show? And they're finally getting married. Like for some reason, I like had remade the connection that it was all what we were doing was all legit still, and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So it was kind of wild like that. But I mean, that host is still a good friend of mine. Obviously, I did, he gave me the opportunity to be in that genre, but
Mhm.
obviously things change on YouTube, and you got to follow the trend, and you got to follow where the content's going. And obviously, for me personally, my end goal wasn't to do pranks and do
Yeah.
stunt shows. I never wanted to make a full time career in that, and so it was fun while I was able to do it. But I'm definitely more in the direction of what I've always wanted to do, more filmmaking and more storytelling type stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was one of the best moments in doing something out in Hollywood, like, with TV or film or something. That was so fun.
Yeah, I mean it's wild the stuff that we were able to do. I mean, I was calling in girlfriends that I knew that lived in the areas, like, hey, we just need some more girls around to make sure all these guys are having fun or whatever it was. And then obviously the ultimate bachelor party was a great time. I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah, I have a lot of that footage actually,
Oh boy. Delete it.
stocked away somewhere, locked away. I actually do have a bunch of it from that party, and it was, yeah, I mean, what you imagine a Hollywood, LA bachelor party is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Rent out a house in the hills and bring in all the dancers, the girls you can, and do these crazy games and drink and party. So it was, yeah, that's how we met. That's literally how we met.
Yeah.
So that's like, I mean, that's pretty crazy. I wasn't sure if you were like a fan of Corridor before we met, or like how that all happened. But it sounds like you just stumbled upon it with one of our new shows, React, and then
Yeah.
happened to just see me in there. So that's pretty wild. Small world.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was, and I was like, Oh wow, like, I love this. So that's essentially what I want to do. When we first met, I was doing a lot of like silly YouTube sketches and that kind of stuff, filming like every weekend, doing stand up, doing improv, basically to try to be a content creator. And
You ever do like stand up and stuff, or just kind of more like sketch comedy, things like that? Like,
I did stand up back when we first met. So that's like how I knew two of the other guys from
yeah,
that
'cause
group.
I think that's what I remember is you said you were doing some stand up and doing some different types of comedy and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and then so after this thing that we did in 2015, I kind of just stopped doing the acting thing altogether and just moved into writing
Okay.
and doing this podcast. So, but now I'm getting back into like the filmmaking side of things and,
Yeah.
film competition or screenplay competitions and stuff like
Sure,
that.
and like film festivals and things. Oh yeah, because you're doing more writing and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I was excited to talk to you about that because I forget that we never saw each other after that, and
Yeah, not
I
really.
saw Nick, a couple times after, and we kinda keep in touch, but
Yeah,
that's it.
he's all over the place. Yeah, it was just that was yeah. I mean the whole thing for me that whole experience is like a thing that just kind of came and went. You know, it wasn't
Mhm.
necessarily part of my full time job at the time. It was there to support and help out this creator that I do work for
Yeah.
and he obviously was supporting at the time, but it was this like separate endeavor that he was going for, and so I just, I was always there for the film shoots. So this
Mhm.
was just one of the ones he was doing, and I was just happened to be there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's wild. But even at that time, I have known the corridor guys for well now 10 years in
Yeah.
2020. So yeah, like even before I got into the prank business, or technically like even fully into the YouTube business, my roommate is one of the co-owners, or my roommate was
Yeah.
back like when I first moved to LA, was one of the co-owners and like originators of Corridor,
Hmm.
and he kind of explained, so back in 2011, I was, even back in those days, I was like PAing on their small little YouTube videos before, they were really a full fledged company. There were two or three guys
Yeah.
having a little VFX studio making YouTube videos. And so I would come on anytime they had an opportunity for me. But in the meantime, I was, you know, growing this prank career and going from there. And that's how, that was just where the trends were going. And it all kind of came full circle when Corridor was able to call me back eventually and say, hey, like, we're in a position where we want to bring somebody like you on. And
Mhm.
it was at the same time that I was kind of like fizzling out of all the prank work that
Yeah.
I was doing. It was like the perfect time of just kind of, YouTube wasn't favoring pranks anymore, and they were kind of becoming distasteful in the public's eye, and
Yeah.
and they just weren't the top channels, because back in those times, those were the top YouTubers. When
Mhm.
we did that show, like those were the top people on YouTube were the pranksters, and so I was able to ride that wave and make some good friends and memories. But ultimately, by that time, it was fizzling out, and that's where Corridor came back around, and it was like, hey, let's come back into the film stuff and
Mhm.
and help us produce these videos and build the business and all that stuff. So I've been doing that for them for 4 years now, and obviously yeah, I'm loving what we're doing over there
Oh,
at
yeah.
Corridor and the React Show and all the filmmaking stuff we get to do.
Yeah, it's really cool seeing you guys kind of grow because I started watching the VFX artists react, and then I started watching. I mean, I basically have just watched all the
Just binged
Corridor
it from
crew.
there.
Yeah, so a
Yeah,
lot of the Corridor crew stuff. So like, it's really interesting seeing everyone's kind of like history with things and seeing people come and go, but also see people come back and
sure.
like people move into different roles and it's so fascinating to see stuff that you guys come up with. Like one of the last things I saw was, Sam with Corridor was working with a VR camera set and you guys did
Avatar
Avatar
too,
2.
before James Cameron.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, virtual production. I mean, that's just where movies seem to be going right now,
Yeah.
which is pretty crazy. I think that was birthed from, I think the ideas that we come up with usually come with a new technology we're introduced to, or
Hmm.
something in life that inspired us. So I think it was almost a year ago now. Unreal reached out to us and said, "Hey, we have the Mandalorian LED wall set up in downtown LA. Why don't you come over and check it out?" Um,
Yeah.
and so we went over there, and Sam and Nico got to put their hands on the camera on the soundstage. We were there. I was just sitting there and seeing how this LED wall just kind of positionally um, basically matches where the camera's at, and it
Yeah.
becomes this insane thing where you're on a soundstage and you can transport it to almost any location. a little bit of practical set design in front of the screen, but otherwise the screen is totally digital. It's totally CG environment. It lights your scene properly, and it follows the angles where your camera's at. So we were able to go over there and test it out on some environments. And I think ever since then, Sam got back to the studio and he was like, "We're going to make virtual production in our studio. Like we're going to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to be able to make a 20. I don't even know how much it costs. But, I don't even. We're not going to be able to make this 300-foot LED screen, but we can figure
Yeah.
out ways to do it in virtual reality and stuff. And so he's been kind of cranking on learning that skill and that technology, so then we can use it in future videos. And so this Avatar 2 thing is kind of like a first test, a first kind of like proof of concept type of thing. And so it's really exciting. But it seems to be the way that things are going with COVID and stuff. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's easy to film with a lot less people
Yeah.
and do multiple locations in one day. So it's a really exciting technology that I think we're all very excited about over here at Corridor.
It's amazing. The Avatar 2 video that you guys put together,
I mean, it's silly for
it's
sure.
it's silly, but that is some groundbreaking stuff and how you guys were able to do that. And it's super funny.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it opens up the world of possibilities. Like obviously it's really jank and we're embracing it on Avatar 2 on
Yeah.
purpose. We even like obviously it's explained in the video, but we used some like we paid some AI servers to write the script. Like Jake wrote a script originally, but Sam was like, let's just go really silly with it and like give the AI a couple prompts and then let the script write itself, and let's just film that script because we were also just doing this in the last we're on break now, so I'm not
Mhm.
working till January. And so this was like kind of the last big project we were going to do before we all go on break. And so it didn't have to be actual Avatar level. We didn't have to like really spend a whole lot of time on it to make it polish it enough. We just wanted to show people like, hey, we're trying new things and we're going to build on our skills in this technology, and maybe you'll see better and better virtual production stuff from us in the future. And so it's really cool to see like I think that's what's really cool about what we do at Corridor is like individuals can kind of do that type of thing. Like
Mhm.
Sam can discover a new piece of technology and then spend a lot of time really investing learning it. So he's learning Unreal Engine. He's learning how to build these virtual production things from scratch and
Mhm.
research and talking to other people. And so while the rest of the team is doing what we need to do to keep the company going and getting the other videos out, Sam can dive in on this new creative endeavor that could make some insane videos in the future. So
Yeah.
it's all really exciting stuff.
Yeah. Something that I love that Nico said in one of your videos was basically like the way to get started is you create the content. Everyone's gonna it's obviously going to get better and it's going to
Hmm.
evolve and everything you create is can't be it's not going to get worse. But I just absolutely love that Avatar. I would watch the full 2 hours.
Dude, that's what everyone's saying. That's hilarious. I feel like I would too. If Sam and Clint and Peter wanted to make a 2 hour version of it, I'd be front row center. I'd be down.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's also a motto that we have at Quarter Digital, and Nico preaches it a lot. Like, I mean, especially these days, man. Like, everybody has a phone in their pocket that can film at a high enough quality for any YouTube video. So it's like
Yeah.
just go out and do it. There's nothing stopping you. Your first video is not gonna be good.
Yeah.
If you're gonna just get into filmmaking or something, the first video won't be good, but you have to get it out of the way
Yeah.
and then learn from that one and then go on to the next one and keep going. And so you don't need expensive equipment. You don't need to pay for the highest tier editing program. You can download DaVinci Resolve, which is free, and pull out your iPhone and
Hmm.
grab some friends or a family member and make a little video and do it yourself. And so I mean, that's what's also super inspiring, I guess, about today's age. It's like anybody's got the tools at their fingertips. They just gotta know how to use it and have like that work ethic to want to go for it.
Yeah, for sure. There on our YouTube channel, watch.hadwm.com. I did a cooking show called Cooking with Chet, where I play basically this
This
douchebag.
character, yeah. I
And
mean, his name's Chet, I would
yeah,
assume.
yeah.
Yeah,
And but in the show, the first one I shot in 2014. First thing I ever filmed, first time editing, first time really dealing with directing and any of that stuff. And you can go and watch it and be like, "Oh, this is funny," and it looks really shitty. And then you see the second episode that I do was maybe like 4 months later with a better camera, better lighting, better audio.
like, yeah, and more thought into your
Yeah,
shots and
and
stuff like
then
that.
that episode 3 is like, great production, and like, I'm learning all the like the lower thirds and all the graphics and stuff. And then, 4 is like, oh, it's an outdoor production. So that's a really good example of just make something and then kind of like,
Yeah, take the experiences from that first one and keep compounding on top of it, because I mean, the best learning, the best way to learn something is to experience it. So,
yeah,
you can watch as many tutorials as you want on YouTube, and that'll help. But
yeah,
eventually, you're just gonna have to pick it up and do it, and you'll see how it works, and get your hands on it. And then, like you said, the next time, the second time, it might be a little bit better, and the third time, you might be having even more intention into what goes in front of your lens and your shots and stuff. So,
yeah,
I mean, it's crazy how much you can grow if you just go for it.
yeah. And so with the AI, I always see like tweets of people being like, "Oh, I forced a bot to read Star Wars or whatever, and this is what it spit out, or action films,
Uh huh.
or whatever." How accurate is that, and what was your experience in using AI to essentially
Oh,
create
it's
something?
it's totally not accurate. I mean, it's hilarious, and it does the work,
Hmm.
but it's not like organized, or it's definitely not human yet. So
Yeah,
there's a couple things that we've done. AI Dungeon. It's a game where it's basically a D&D prompt.
yeah,
Like, you can basically, you tell it, it starts asking you questions, and you just type responses, and it guides you through this. It's basically an AI dungeon master,
yeah.
but it gets silly. It goes all over the place, and you tell it things logically, and it will veer off. And it was the same thing with this paid AI thing. You give it some prompts, and it'll go for a while all of a sudden, and then it'll like take a weird left turn, and
Hmm.
it's way off, and then it kind of maybe starts to make its own news story, or kind of makes its way back to the original thing it was saying. But it all, like, if you're just reading it straight there, it almost doesn't make sense. But it
Yeah.
is fun technology to mess around with, because you can almost, I think, because I think what Sam mostly did was that he used the AI thing to get the base script, but then you go in and tweak it, and you go in and just kind of adjust it to make sure it's still cohesive, because you don't want just some jumbled mess that you never understand. But it
Hmm.
is funny to see the script that an AI would write for you. So, it's one of those fun things to mess around with, and obviously it's a new technology. Whether it's the soundboards, like people doing the AI thing where they can make Joe Rogan say anything they want,
Yeah.
or script writing, or even AI like tools for filmmaking now. Like, one of the cool things is, like, I guess, like, just like AI, like, it just automatically paints out things. Like, it's helping, AI is helping, like, VFX artists do their job better now and
Hmm.
stuff, with different tools and stuff. So, depending on the category, obviously things like AI generated people or AI generated scripts are going to be a little bit more complex, whereas like an AI helpful tool, like in a VFX process,
Yeah.
is a little bit more developed than the other things are now. But obviously it's just the beginning of where that technology is going to end up.
Hmm. While talking about technology, I want to get into, I mean, kind of our topic today. We want to talk about the new Star Wars stuff that's coming out.
Oh yeah.
And I love that you talked about the volume, which is, what John Favreau
Yeah,
and
well,
Dave
yeah, well,
Filoni are
basically the
using,
Mandalorian is, yeah.
which is absolutely incredible because it still looks like the 1970s, 1980s Star Wars. You can't really tell that it's a big
Hmm.
screen. I don't know if you ever played Star Wars Battlefront
Oh yeah,
1 and 2, the EA version.
I still have it downloaded on my computer. I boot it up every once in a while and just live in
Incredible.
that world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the scenery in that is just, it's incredible, and it's so realistic. So it makes sense that that's kind of where filmmaking has moved to, because you can't really, you can't fake it much, much better than that.
Yeah, I mean, the Mandalorian's pushing the boundaries. I mean, it's awesome. It's especially with like John Favreau and Dave Filoni, they are obviously such big fans of the franchise. So they're really doing it justice with this new movie, or this new series. But
Yeah.
yeah, the technology is pretty insane, and obviously, like, it'll be great when we can get an LED wall like that. But yeah, when you're able to do the legit one that they do, you almost can't tell the difference. But it's not even that it's, you can almost not tell the difference, but it's helping the production in general. Like, it's actually lighting the scene, so you're not having to
Hmm.
do that much extra lighting, because it's lighting it accurate to the environment that you're loading up onto that screen. And
Yeah.
so that's what's crazy. That's what's different than what we did, obviously, in Avatar, because it's With Avatar 2, we did it. It's full CGI. It's mocap.
Hmm.
It's built environment, so it's full CGI. So you're still kind of doing digital lighting within the program, and you're still setting up all your shots pre-programmed in the system. Whereas the Mandalorian gets to show up to a real set, and they get to have real actors and set pieces to interact with there, but in front of the big screen that gives you the depth and gives you the scenery that you're talking about, that makes it
Yeah.
just really grounds it and makes it feel like it's actually there. And obviously, it's still Disney, so they have all the VFX dollars to throw behind to make sure the full CG stuff does still match up with that
Yeah.
volume stuff. But it's cool to see filmmaking go that direction, and it kind of comes at the perfect time with productions kind of being halted or being outsourced to different areas of the world or whatever,
Yeah.
because you can't get in these big groups. But it's been really cool, and yeah, it was a super like big honor for us to be able to go and see it in person and get to touch the technology the way the Mandalorian actually does it. So
Yeah. I
no,
bet.
I'm excited because we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna build a big green screen wall in our new studio, 20 feet high, and make it so you could just point it at it, and it basically matches up to the same virtual production environment that you load up into it. So
Yeah.
we're already moving our filmmaking in that direction to see, even at our scale with it, we have like a team of 15. What kind of stuff can we do even when we're not, the big budget Disney creators? We're just, quarter digital.
Yeah, and you guys all have very interesting backgrounds too. So you have a lot of different perspective on new technology and that kind of stuff. You guys have Ren's
Yeah, Ren's a
engineer.
mechanical engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ren by trade is a mechanical engineer, and he taught himself how to do VFX from Video Copilot and Andrew Kramer's tutorials back in the day. And it's the same thing. Like Sam and Nico never went to film school; they went to art school. They
Hmm.
said, "I'm going to make films, and I can figure out the programs and technology myself." But art school helps you learn how shadows work and how lighting works and how real world objects interact with lighting and stuff like that, which just helps you be a better filmmaker.
Hmm.
Jake's a lawyer, but he's also the
Yeah.
main producer. So it's funny how that's what I love working with Corridor, is just because everybody comes from these different skill sets or backgrounds, and we all come together to make these things together.
Hmm. And for the listeners, if you guys want to find out more about the volume which we were talking about with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, Disney Plus has a great series called Star Wars Gallery, which
Yeah, in the
dives
gallery.
into it and it talks about all that stuff. And but with Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, season 2 finale of The Mandalorian was today. Did you watch
Yeah, are
it?
we allowed to spoil? Are we allowed to spoil? Yeah.
Well, this episode's going to air February, so
Oh, perfect. So if you haven't seen it by
so
now, you're a loser.
yeah,
Just kidding.
exactly. No, it's true.
Yeah, no. If this is coming out February, then yeah. Yeah, no. You mentioned it in the email today, and I made sure I watched it today.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't remember the last series or movie where I'm watching episodes and I'm clapping, I'm screaming at the
Hmm.
TV, like I am like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're gonna get critiques and people will critique some filmmaking things and some lore stuff. But for me, I'm just such a fan that there's new Star Wars stuff coming out.
Yeah.
There's new worlds that we get to explore and new stories within the Star Wars lore that we get to explore. That like that show can't do wrong by me, and that's what I'm saying. It's not like it doesn't feel different because I mean obviously I think everybody had a little bit of a, I mean including me, problem with the last trilogy
Of course.
and stuff like that. And obviously, they did what they can, but like this stuff is where I feel like we're really getting back to like what Star Wars really is
Exactly.
and stuff. And so, I mean, everything from a couple episodes to like Boba Fett coming back, I was freaking out.
Yeah.
I mean, I was, obviously Ahsoka. That episode was like, because I also watched the Clone Wars, and so
Hmm.
that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge stuff. But then, I mean, today's episode is everything you kind of wanted coming together. I mean, and it's so weird. I was thinking about it. So I mean, just kind of skipping ahead. Obviously, there's this, these big moments, but like I was thinking about it, and like if I was thinking with like a logical mind watching this show, I would have been like, okay, like a Jedi is gonna come get them out of the situation. It's probably gonna be Luke or whatever, blah blah blah. But as it happens, I'm just like, oh my god, who is it? Who's coming in? Oh my god, it's an X-wing. I'm like, I
Yeah.
just it's weird. Like the little kid fanboy me comes out, my logical mind goes away, and I don't like just predict what is going to happen because I should. Obviously, I know
Mhm.
it so well that I should know that Luke's about to show up and
Yeah.
do the whole thing. But as it's happening, I'm just like, even as I'm seeing it, I'm like, who is that? Like, is it Luke? Is it
Yeah.
Obi Wan? I'm like, wait a minute, Obi Wan is way old by now. Like, I'm just, but I'm just so in my emotions, and I think that's
Obi-Wan's
what's
dead
so
at that point.
exactly. I'm like, Obi-Wan's gone by now. What am I even talking about? I'm like, but I know in the back of my mind it's Luke, but I'm still screaming out like, wait, no, is it Obi-Wan?
Mhm.
Is it this person? Who is it? And I think that's just like the little kid fanboy me coming out and being like I can't even think with the logical mind right now. It's just the show is just bringing me into that world so much that I'm just having an emotional response to what's happening on the screen.
Yeah, for Rise of Skywalker, I got my wife to watch all of the Star Wars movies. She had only seen
Like leading up to the premiere
leading
type of
up.
thing.
Yeah, so
Okay.
she had only seen Attack of the Clones.
Oh wow,
So,
what a weird one to only see.
yeah,
And did you make her watch it in release date order or in chronological order?
I did it release date order.
Okay, so original and
Yeah, I
then
did.
prequels.
Yeah, 4, 5, 6,
Gotcha,
1, 2,
gotcha.
3. We the first Star Wars movie she ever saw was Attack the Clones, but she went with me to see Solo in theaters.
Oh, cool. Oh,
She
the spinoff.
loved
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I loved Solo as well.
Yeah, I mean, I love Solo. It was a great little side story.
Yeah, so she's only seen the movies. So she doesn't know Ahsoka Tano. She doesn't know Grand Admiral Thrawn. She doesn't
Sure.
know any of these extra characters. And and like you said, the X-wing is flying up, and I'm like, oh
Oh,
boy. And then I turned to my wife. I was like, I think that's Luke Skywalker. I think it's gonna be Luke
yeah,
Skywalker.
yeah. Like I think Luke's coming.
And then it definitely Luke Skywalker when you see it. You're like, I think it's Luke Skywalker. I think
Yeah.
it's Luke Skywalker. Green lightsaber. Okay, I'm pretty sure this is
It's
Luke
definitely Luke
Skywalker.
Skywalker.
And
Yeah.
and my wife loves Mandalorian. And one of the good things about watching it with her is I get a perspective of someone who's not a Star Wars fan, seeing a show specifically for Star Wars fans to see if she's able to follow the plot points and see if it
Hmm.
does genuinely make sense to her. Like, she doesn't remember Bib Fortuna in Return of the
Yeah,
Jedi.
I know. It's like, dude, how that guy's leading the Huts right now? It's like
Yeah.
that whole after the credit scene. It's like what?
Yeah. So there are like some things like that I have to explain, but I mean, Ahsoka Tano, great, a non Star Wars fan,
Totally.
seeing
I
a
mean, it's a
Jedi
character that's not in the movies. Yeah.
seeing a Jedi for the first time in Mandalorian, they're excited because they're like, "Oh yeah, they're finally."
Like I remember the lightsaber
Yeah,
guys.
yeah, laser
Yeah,
swords are back. Yeah,
yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah.
so it's great seeing that, but it's also like I get to enjoy that with my wife, who finds it just to be a fun, compelling story. Where I'm genuinely like, nipples are hard watching this
Yep.
because it's just
So, yeah.
amazing.
It's the same thing with me. My girlfriend, not a Star Wars fan, but we do
Mhm.
watch The Mandalorian together. She loves Baby Yoda. Every time he comes on, she has like a little giggle and stuff.
Yeah,
And same thing, she's able to follow the plot points, but like obviously, I'm getting way more excited at certain
yeah,
moments than she is. Boba Fett's flying in, or when he first puts on his suit and starts, kicking ass. I'm like,
hmm
Boba Fett's going off, and she's like, oh, Boba Fett. You know,
yeah,
Same thing, it's the same thing, but it's fun to see them, see her watch it, and I'm getting excited, but she's also just taking it differently, and
hmm
she's almost meeting these characters for the first time, whereas we felt like we know these
yeah,
characters and they're, we know their whole backstory, so it is a whole new perspective, so it's a fun way to watch the show, also.
yeah. And it's fun seeing Boba Fett. So I read all the comic books. I played all the
Hmm.
games and stuff.
Oh wow, okay,
And it's
yeah,
fun seeing Boba Fett act
he's supposed to act,
how
yeah,
we
yeah,
see him. Like everyone
yeah.
says Boba Fett's the coolest character, but any non-Star Wars fans is gonna be like, okay, he showed up once and then oh there he is again.
He dropped in the pit,
Yeah,
and what they're bringing him back, and he's like a
yeah,
knockoff Mandalorian.
yeah. But we're like, no, 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 he's
No,
great.
no,
No,
Bo is the
Boba Fett's
coolest. Yeah,
so awesome.
yeah,
And so it was great seeing that. Leading into what essentially our topic is that the next phase of Star Wars. So we're getting the Book of Boba Fett.
yeah. That's what the tease. That was their promo.
Yeah,
Yeah, just kind of probably a through line story that'll finish in one season or something.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I'm interested to see what they do there. Obviously, he's looks like he's claiming the Hutt throne.
Mm-hmm.
He's taking over for what formerly Jabba the Hutt was running. But it's interesting, yeah. Dean, the main our second editor on Corridor Crew, he's like I don't know, he's like 6 years younger than me, and he's the biggest Star Wars fan ever. Actually, if you go on the Node channel, we did this Star Wars movie trivia game,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought I was gonna wipe everybody's butt, and he
Yeah.
just came in with like, dude, I've played every game, I've read every book, really killed it. Um, and he's like, he made some good points today because we were texting, and all I said was like, "This is the way." And he's like, "Yeah, dude, I have some mixed feelings about the season finale. Obviously,
Yeah.
when the X-wing came in, I'm freaking out." But he made a good point that like I do kind of like Boba Fett as the bad guy, and so he's kind of thinking that maybe Boba Fett is going to take over Mandalore, or maybe the Mando and him have to face off to see what happens.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see where it goes for sure.
Yeah, I'm expecting Book of Boba Fett to be kind of his final hit list. He wants
Hmm.
to wipe out that last bit. I'm
Yeah.
expecting Bosk, Dengar, Forlum,
Just
IG-88,
all to come
Zuckuss.
back and just make some appearances.
Yeah, I'm expecting
I
all
mean,
of our Empire bounty hunters, but I'm expecting Mace Windu.
whoa, that I mean, do you think I mean, they haven't failed so far, which that was one of the coolest moments in that Boba Fett episode. Because right when I saw him, I was like, dude, they got I forget his name. I know
Tamora
it's
Morrison.
yeah, there you go. It's like, dude, what? Like, you're getting the guy that we're looking at as the DNA host of all the clones from
Mhm.
Attack of the Clones. It's Jango Fett. It's the father DNA to Boba Fett, and you're bringing him back to do Boba Fett. That's like just a testament of how much these producers like John Favreau and Dave Filoni like
Yeah.
really truly love this franchise and
Hmm.
really respect it. And I feel like Mandalorian feels like the first thing that really does give the Star Wars fans some respect and justice of like what we really want to see and what we feel like Star Wars should go versus the other stuff. But I'm
Yeah.
curious going to the new trilogy like did you like I mean did you like it, and then two, like here's my because I think I'm on the controversial end of it all.
Hmm.
I actually liked The Last Jedi a lot. I'm a huge fan of the Ryan Johnson version, and I think I like what he did there. And I thought Rise of Skywalker sucked because it was just a fan pandering thing, trying to patch up what Ryan Johnson did. But I didn't think Ryan Johnson did that much wrong, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So I'm curious to hear because I don't really get too like deep in these conversations with other people. So I'm
Yeah.
curious to know.
Well, I do want to say with the fan pandering, this is something that I love about Mandalorian is the fact that the show on paper is 100% fan service, but I don't feel like
No, you don't
anyone
feel it
thinks
though.
that. It
Oh no,
we're
not at all.
if we didn't get Luke Skywalker and whatever, if we didn't get any of this stuff, I would still be like, this show is
This is
so
yeah,
goddamn good.
yeah.
And
No,
so
honestly.
so with that, my issues with 7, 8, and 9 are that there wasn't this trilogy didn't have an arc. It wasn't a bunch of people coming together and saying, so one, two, and three, the 7, 8, 9.
Yeah,
This is our story, and we're going to wrap this up. It was kind of a Ryan Johnson kind of went with a there's always going to be a Star Wars movie. So there's going to be Star Wars 10, there's going to be Star Wars 11, 12,
sure.
13. So
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
shake
yeah.
things up and let's move it. Where I think Ryan Johnson would have done better as the writer director of 9, where I think he could have really tied up all the loose ends that we got from
No, totally. I think
Force
yeah, totally.
Awakens. But I like Last Jedi. I hate the Canto Bite scene. I think
Oh, totally.
the whole thing's stupid. Red lapel, great. Justin Thoreau. So you guys just wrote a whole
Yeah.
thing just so we can see that Justin Thoreau's in this, and then he has nothing to
No,
do with
agreed.
it. And so, I mean, there's a couple things that I hate. But what I love about this episode of Mandalorian is clearly Kylo Ren kills Grogu
Oh, wait, what?
because Grogu is going to be one of the first
Oh,
people.
he's gonna be one of the first
Yeah,
students.
one of the first
Yes,
students.
because I
Kylo
was
Ren
thinking the same thing.
slaughters everybody in about 5 years in the timeline, 5 to 10 years.
Dang, yeah.
And so now what John Favreau and Dave Filoni are doing is I think they're taking parts of 7, 8, and 9, and weaving other stories in to make us care more about 7, 8, and 9.
7, 8, 9, sure.
Now everyone's going to hate Kylo Ren even more because he fucking
And
killed
he and
Baby
that's what he was
Yoda.
supposed to be, and he was supposed to be hateful, which you didn't really feel like you hated him until
Exactly.
I mean, you didn't really feel like you hated him ever, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden he's having this big redemption arc that didn't
Mhm.
really feel justified. But yeah, I guess no, I agree also with your Last Jedi criticism. I think the main thing for me is that Ryan Johnson, I think the new trilogy was kind of going into this realm of like it's this Skywalker royal blood thing.
Yeah.
And I think Ryan Johnson kind of introduced that, like, no, anybody can be a Jedi. It's more about like, because that's what it was about me when I was growing up and being falling in love with stars. Is like,
We could learn the
what
Force
if
one
I
day.
could be a Jedi? Yeah, like what if I could unlock those parts of my brain and I could actually have the Force,
Mhm.
you know? And so like Ryan Johnson kind of opened that back up, and he was saying like, at the end where that just the little peasant kid like had the Force. It was like, no, it's not about like you being the Skywalker. It's not about this like midichlorian count. It's about like just anybody could ultimately end up being a Jedi if you have the right like beliefs or whatever.
Mhm.
So that's what I loved about it, and then obviously just Rise of Skywalker had to patch that all up. But no, I totally agree. I think Mandalorian's doing everything right that last trilogy did wrong, and they are tying those things back into the canon,
Mhm.
or the things that I mean, this is canon obviously, but they're tying those things back to the familiar canon that we know,
Yeah.
and making it not feel like they're just doing it. All the decisions they're making in the show are totally justified.
Yeah.
Is what I feel like. So,
Yeah, I mean,
um,
also look at this. I mean, you got Luke Skywalker back, and I know he's obviously going to return. Like we're going to see Luke and Grogu again, but
we have.
now you can see why Luke wants to be a hermit because Grogu dies. Like
Well,
clearly,
yeah, he saved this little child, and now eventually his actions are going to kill that child.
this is what seems like this is the beginning of Luke Skywalker wanting to train a new set of Jedi.
Order of Jedi's,
Yeah,
yeah, that's an interesting point.
and like now you could see why he wouldn't want to do anything because Baby Yoda dies. Like, I mean,
Yeah, no, totally. I'm curious of like where exactly in the timeline we are. I'm wondering if like Grogu's his first student, or if he already started a little school, and
yeah.
Grogu's one of his next students, just coming into the fold. I'm interested to see if they're going to explain that at all, or just in general what the theories are of where we are in the timeline at this point.
Well, we're supposed to be 5 years after Return of the
The
Jedi.
Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
See, that's a problem because obviously in Last Jedi, or Last Jedi, because you don't meet Luke till the end of Force Awakens.
Hmm.
Last Jedi, they explain, he's pretty old by then though, and even when they're explaining him teaching and Kylo Ren falling in despair, he's pretty old then. So there's also a chance that Grogu is a grown student by the time that the Kylo Ren debacle happens. Who knows? This is just coming to me now, but if it's only 5 years over, I mean, because how far past Return of the Jedi is Force Awakens? Because I thought that was a
About
pretty
20 years.
pretty far while. So 20 years. So that's what I'm saying. If we're only 5 years at Mandalorian, that's 15 potential years of or 10 to 15 potential years of Luke training Grogu before Kylo Ren even is born or brought into the fold as a Jedi to be trained. So who
Yeah.
knows? Maybe Grogu's out there as a young Master Jedi somewhere off remote. So you can't necessarily say that Kylo Ren is going to kill him, but I do like the theory. But
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe Grogu is some young Master Jedi out in the universe somewhere.
Yeah. Because right now I see it kind of like Kylo Ren's probably 2 years old at this point, I'd say. I'd
Okay.
say
Yeah.
that Han and Leia have a kid within the first 3 years of after Battle of
After
Endor.
Return of the Jedi, yeah,
Yeah.
Battle of Endor, they're settling down. They think all the wars are over.
Yeah.
Let's have some babies.
Yeah. And then did you play the storyline of Battlefront 2?
I did. And did you play Fallen Order too? I mean, that's a
Oh, yeah.
tangent,
Fallen
but
Order was so good.
that's the best Star Wars game I've ever played, and I've played pretty much them all. But
Oh, it's so good.
holy crap, that was
I was
just
actually expecting Cal Kestis to possibly be
that's me too. I
the
was
guy
like,
who showed up.
are they gonna work him into Mando? Because that would be pretty wild for the gamers.
Yeah, for sure. We've got the Book of Boba Fett, which I'm excited about because I think
Yeah.
this is going to be a little bit more of what the first episode of Mandalorian kind of teased, that he's just a bounty hunter, and obviously he was a bounty hunter that collected a bounty that he didn't want to cash in on. But I think we're going to get a solid bounty hunter show with the Book of Boba Fett. You got Fennec Shand, who's a bounty hunter as well, Boba Fett, and going
Yeah.
and clearing out all of his competition as, leader of Jabba's palace, whatever. But we're also going to get Ahsoka, which I feel is going to be essentially be season 7 of
Seven
Rebels.
of Clone Wars or Rebels, I guess.
Rebels, yeah. So Ahsoka will be the next season of Rebels, and then the Bad Batch will be the next season of Clone Wars.
That's cool. The Bad Batch is going to be fun. What do you think of Rosario Dawson coming as Ahsoka in live action form?
I love her. I think
Me
she's
too.
a great fit.
I think the character design was great. I didn't think the makeup looked too weird when she came on. I was like, "That's exactly how Ahsoka needs to look,"
Mhm.
and I thought that was really well done. And obviously, that whole opening scene of her disappearing into the mist and them using actual VFX to paint her out.
Yep.
She's not just running away. They actually painted her out to make her kind of fade into the mist, which I thought was a very very fun effect. She kind of turned off and she was like, she kind of just disappears into the mist, and I thought that was really good decision by them to not just like make her run away fast or whatever. They really made her kind of like dissolve,
Yeah.
and she looked great. And did you notice the Terminator cameo?
No.
So the guy in the Ahsoka episode, um, and this is something that Ren told me from VFX Artist React, but when they're fighting for the Beskar spear,
Yeah.
Mando's having the face off with that general.
Yeah.
That general is the actor of Terminator 2. He is the T2 model in Terminator.
Oh, really?
For Terminator 2, it's John Connor. Yeah. So that is the actor. And they brought him in as a cameo, and he's the old guy that played the John Connor robot in the Terminator movies,
That's
in
awesome.
the original movie. So that was a really cool, like, random cameo. I think they're doing really good with the casting on Mandalorian.
Oh, absolutely.
Whether it's bringing in Boba Fett to be the original clone that we all know he is,
Hmm.
to casting Rosario Dawson and the actress that does Bo-Katan, and really making those animated characters look real and they can bring them to life for real. I think both Bo-Katan and Ahsoka Tano, their animated characters really translate really well into live action.
Yeah, I love what they're doing with all of that, and I'm excited to see where the Ahsoka show goes because I expect it to be Ahsoka is trying to find Ezra.
Mm-hmm.
Ezra from Rebels. Anyone who doesn't watch Rebels, the way that that show ended was basically he was like time hopping and hyperspace hopping with Grand Admiral Thrawn, who Ahsoka mentioned. And right now, I think Sabine Wren is going to be in that show. I think we're going to get her back,
Okay.
and I can't think of who the actress is that voices her, but she was from The Good Place. She ended up being like the actress demon who was like, "Oh, well, I need to prepare for my role." And Tia Sircar or Taya Sircar. So she would be she's the voice actress of
Oh yeah.
Sabine. She would be an amazing live action Sabine.
Live action, she would still be able to pull it off in live action. Yeah.
Yeah, and same thing with Thrawn. It's Mads Mikkelsen's brother.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah, his brother plays the voice of Thrawn in Rebels. He would play an amazing live action as well.
Lars Mikkelsen. Wow.
So it's almost as if Dave Filoni not only found the best voice actors for the show, but
But he found the best live action guys that are going to be able to reprise it
yeah,
for the
it's like
Disney
he
Channel.
knew this was coming.
It's weird. I mean, any interview I've watched with him, it's like his passion for this franchise comes through. Like, he is so involved in it, and I mean, he's the biggest fanboy, I think, and so having him at the helm, I feel comfortable as a Star Wars fan, having knowing that he is leading this new wave of all these shows that we're
Yeah,
being able to
he's a
watch.
Star Wars
We
encyclopedia.
haven't even talked. We haven't exactly. We haven't even talked about, like, because I really don't even know what it is. But Obi-Wan,
Yeah,
the new Disney Plus, it's going to be Ewan McGregor, and they're bringing back Hayden Christensen to be Vader. I mean, it's controversial in a way, but it's also so awesome. I think it is the coolest thing. And I know Natalie in our office at Corridor, she was like, "Oh my God, they're bringing Hayden Christensen back for Vader," and she had this big emotional reaction. But I'm like, they are staying so true, and they're really committing to what they did
yeah.
originally. And who knows? Maybe he's going to come back in this style and kill it. Like,
Mhm.
I know a lot of people didn't like him in Attack of the Clones, but I actually really liked him in Revenge of the Sith.
Oh
I think
yeah,
it was I think it was great when he went dark. Obviously, I thought he was a little cheesy in Attack of the Clones, but I mean, I think it is so cool that they are willing to do that, and they're willing to go to these old actors and not, I think any other Hollywood studio. Moving on to the Buffalo Trace, by the way.
Yeah, I'm going a little bit more Rebel Yell.
I might need to get an ice cube or two in a second, but otherwise, like, obviously the Avengers did great with what they did, but I think also if it were to come to the same decisions and it wasn't somebody like Dave Filoni at the call, like if they had to, they'd recast Vader.
Yeah.
In a Marvel decision, but I think that since Dave and Jon Favreau are at the helm and they know what people want, like trying to pursue Hayden Christensen to come back and be young Vader during which I'm not again I haven't really done the deep dive, so like I don't even know what the timeline of this Obi-Wan series is going to be.
So it's 10 years after Revenge of the Sith.
What is that?
That's about 9 to 10 years.
So it's halfway through. So about halfway between them.
What people need to understand is Hayden's being brought back as Vader, but Vader's in a suit.
Yeah, no, he's mostly in the suit. So really, are they gonna bring back James Earl Jones? That's what's really
They have
what
to.
really matters. I mean, is anybody? I mean, no one's ever been Vader other than him. So
Yeah, unless they have something where it's like Obi-Wan and Vader meet up, 10 years after.
and they do a mask off, face off. Like he's not wearing the helmet or something.
Yeah, or the voice box breaks or something.
Yeah, or something where it's like,
Hate you.
oh, I don't have my new voice yet. I haven't figured out this new Vader suit.
But they did James Earl Jones in Revenge of the Sith. Padme, no.
Oh no! Oh, that was the best.
So he does have the James Earl Jones voice.
No, it has to be him. That's the thing. Yeah, that's. Oh yeah, you're right. They already casted him for that. So I mean, I have the Vader sword on my wall back here. By the way,
Why isn't it lit up?
I mean, I can light it up for this.
Hell yeah.
Hi everyone, Stephen Ray Morris here, engineer and editor of the true crime podcast My Favorite Murder and other Exactly Right Network shows like Murder Squad and Do You Need a Ride, as well as host of my own podcast, The Purrcast, about cats, and See Jurassic Right, Jurassic Park/Dinosaurs. I'm very excited today to announce my newest podcast endeavor, the first episode dropping Friday, February 12th. It's called Everything But the Movie, a Star Wars Book Club podcast. That's right, I'm going to be heading to a galaxy far, far away, bi-monthly, bi-weekly, twice a month to chat about my favorite books set in the Star Wars universe. Currently, Star Wars literature can be divided into two segments: Legends, the expanded universe of my childhood and all 90s kids, and Canon, Star Wars stories created after Disney's purchase of Lucasfilm in 2014. Now, I'm not here to pick sides, as each month on this podcast I will cover one book from the new canon to read and one book from Legends to read and share with y'all. I love it all. So now that you have your path, I'm looking forward to reading along with you. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you'll be ready for when episodes start dropping, and follow the podcast on social media at EBTM Star Wars on Twitter and Instagram. See you soon, and of course, may the Force be with you.
So yeah, what I expect with that is we're going to get a few flashback scenes in Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Where we see Anakin, Hayden Christensen. But I think for the most part, we're going to see him in the suit. And I think it's going to be, I think we might get a brush with a young Luke Skywalker.
Well, I mean, we've already brought him back here, so why not?
Yeah. I mean, 5-year-old, 10-year-old Luke Skywalker.
I mean, yeah, you mean like kid, like, I gotcha. I mean, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, and Tamora Morrison is casted as in Obi-Wan, so he's going to be one of the clones. So I wonder if we're going to see where the clones ended up.
How that all happened and which clones. I mean, if they were all just following Order 66, or if they, some of them had this emotional thing.
Yeah.
No, that'll be interesting. I mean, I hope they probably will go, like you said, some flashbacks, because there's a whole time period between, I think it's mostly Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, where Obi-Wan and Anakin were all off doing adventures and missions together and stuff like that. They were building the bond that they have as Revenge of the Sith starts, and Anakin's a little older and he's a little bit more mature.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting if they delve back into more how Obi-Wan and Anakin, more of their Padawan master relationship.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show because I think Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan, is probably the best thing that Star Wars did between Return of the Jedi and Rogue One.
Yeah, sure.
Just absolute amazing casting. So also with Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, we're going to get Rangers of the New Republic.
Yeah, what is that exactly? I mean, I watched a little trailer, but I'm not exactly sure what the storyline or timeline
I
is.
think we're going to get kind of a dark side of the New Republic, kind of bad cops, and really trying to put order to all this chaos after Return of the Jedi, where there's still that divide between the Empire and the Rebellion, and now the Rebellion won.
Yeah, they almost seem like bad guys.
Yeah.
That's what I think is so cool about the Mandalorian. You start to feel for stormtroopers and start to be like, whoa, like
Mm-hmm.
the rebels and the X-wing guys are kind of like hard ass cops now. Like that's the thing about the Star Wars universe. It's like, I think there's a whole subreddit of, and I'm definitely a subscriber of it.
Yeah.
But the Empire did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Like that's what I love about what Star Wars has done is like while they have in a way created the light side and the dark side,
Mm-hmm.
now that we're getting super deep into it and we're doing all the side stories and we're doing the Mandalorian stuff, we're finding out that hey, like maybe the dark side isn't so different than the light side, and
Mm-hmm.
and maybe one side isn't good versus one side is a bad. Maybe they're all just people and they're all figuring out their path, and it's all corrupt and it's all just everything like the real world is. It's there's no black and white. It's so mixed and convoluted.
Yeah.
So that's what I love that they're doing because it's so cool to see like it's so cool to see stormtroopers and the way they're showing them in Mandalorian. It's also cool to see how rebel pilots and how the new order or the I guess the new republic is acting and all that kind of stuff. So it's again it's just letting us open up deeper into the world of Star Wars, and I could be more happy to be living in this time of getting all this new Star Wars stuff and getting all this new content because the more you can give me that'll expand the world of Star Wars to me, the more happy I'll be, and there's all kinds of critiques you can do in the actual show making stuff. Going back to like our filmmaking backgrounds, like the Boba Fett one wasn't the best put together,
Yeah.
it was like, if we're being honest, like if you're not just being the fanboy that's super happy to see Boba Fett and everything, it's like somebody's Star Wars fan film. It was shot in like Southern California, out in Simi Valley. Like the location of that whole episode was like, oh, like we're not on some off-world planet. We're like in Simi Valley, and we got a bunch of stormtrooper costumes, and
Mm-hmm.
there's this pursuit attack action film, and it's totally something a fan could have made, but at the same time, they did it justice in the story points they wanted to deliver and stuff like that. And, you can always there's always going to be a hater or a critique person, but for me, I'm just such a big fan that you give me any new content in this and build the world properly, then I'm in.
Yeah. What I would love to see. So this is going to be a deep cut into Star Wars, but I don't know if you've read the Star Wars Aftermath books.
I haven't read much Star Wars at all, so I'm all movies or TV shows.
Gotcha. So this is a new canon. It follows Snap Wexley, who was played by Greg Grunberg in episode 7, and then he returned in 9. But
Hmm.
Aftermath follows basically the moments right after Return of the Jedi, and it follows his mom, Nora Wexley, who was an X-wing pilot. So I think we're going to get Nora Wexley, X-wing pilot, with Dave Filoni's character Wolf Trap or Wolf, whatever his name is, Wolf something,
Oh, okay.
and the other guy that we keep seeing as X-wing pilots. I think it's going to follow their group, kind of going around and being like kind of assholes to people.
Sure.
And I think
I
we're
got
going to see a young Snap Wexley who ends up showing up in episode 7. So it's another tie-in with these new movies.
Yeah, the movies. Yeah, no, I love how they're basically saying, hey, all these new TV shows we're making, they're going to be canon too, and we're going to figure out how to make them work for the canon. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's amazing. Here's one question that I've been kind of pondering about, and maybe because I mean, like I said, I think you're probably a little bit more of a bigger Star Wars fan than me. I'm just more, movies and stuff. So I've been curious of like, because what I've really liked about the Mandalorian is just like, even though I don't really like her as an actress, but Gina Carano, she was a shock trooper, right?
Yeah.
And so like, at what point did they stop being the clones and started being actual people that just volunteered for the Empire, for the the Republic or whatever it is, because so from what I gather, like once you start getting into like a New Hope and a Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, all those stormtroopers aren't still clones.
Correct.
They are people. They are people that are just enlisted in service like any other army was. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out where like the blend goes from the clones that we know from 2 and 3, and when that blends into it's just an army that people can enlist for.
That's something that I really don't know.
Okay, interesting.
There's a lot of gray area in that 20 years. We got the Clone Wars, but
Well, because those are all clones. Those are
yeah,
all from that same DNA sample from Camino.
yeah.
All the clones that they made for the army.
And you watch Clone Wars. So Clone Wars is between season 2 and 3, and then you get the last season leads right up to
Wait, between season 2 and 3 of what?
no, sorry, episode 2 and 3 of Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay,
Clone
okay,
Wars
gotcha.
takes place there.
But yeah, from 2 on through, because the Clone Wars are almost still coming to a head when Order 66 gets enacted.
Yeah. So in the last season of Clone Wars, we get Order 66 and all that stuff. But then between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, all we have is Rogue One.
It's Rogue One, which was amazing too.
Yeah. Rogue One was my number 3 favorite Star Wars movie.
I agree, and it's so weird. It's like it's not really part of the main storyline, but it's just the best way to do that. I mean, it was so cool. Sam Mendelsohn killing it. I mean, it was all. I mean, it was a great one. It was a great way to bridge it, and that whole getting Vader at the very end and leading right into the scene of A New Hope is like, dude, how are you guys doing it?
You get Bail Organa just being like, "All right, I'm going home."
Yeah,
and we're like, "No, don't do that because you're
don't go home.
Yeah, you're gonna die.
No, it's gonna blow up. Don't go home." Oh man, and that's funny. They're still referencing Alderaan a lot, even in this finale here.
Yeah, she's
Mandalorian
from Alderaan.
Yeah, so she's a shock trooper that was from there, and so Moff Gideon over there was really trying to shove the knife in over there, trying to make her get emotional there at the end. There.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get a lot of info on that in the new Obi-Wan series.
Yeah, I think so. I hope they start to. I mean, yeah, all these shows are going to give you that little bit of extra information that is like, oh, it's all connecting. It all makes sense, and that's the most exciting thing about it all.
So that's it for the new stuff from Filoni and Favreau, but we're also getting a lot of other really cool stuff. I'm excited for the new Lando series by Justin Simien.
So Lando is not going to have them involved at all.
So there hasn't been really.
Again, I've pretty much only looked at the Instagram trailers that have been put out, so I'm not exactly sure who's behind them all. I kind of almost assumed that Filoni and Favreau were leading the charge on all of the new stuff.
So they're leading the charge on just those 3 projects: the new Boba Fett, Bad Batch,
Obi-Wan,
Ahsoka. Not even,
and then not even
they're
Obi-Wan
not involved with Obi-Wan.
Oh, interesting.
But I think with the Lando series, what I would love to see with the Lando series,
are they going to bring Donald Glover back for that?
I think we're going to get a Lando with Janna from Rise of Skywalker. I think we're going to get a series after that, kind of figuring out where she's from.
So older
Yeah,
Lando.
And I would love to see kind of Janna realizing. Also, did you see in the last episode of The Mandalorian where they're driving through that little town with that explosive stuff? There's a little girl with big puffy hair that looks just like Janna. And
yeah, you're right.
So what I would love to see
could be a little homage to what she might be coming back for.
So I would love to see in Lando, older Lando, having flashbacks to Donald Glover era Lando.
Interesting. That'd be cool.
With
okay.
none of the other characters we know. I do really want to see Shreve from Battlefront.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love to see that flashbacks, but I want to see kind of where Janna's from, because I think that'd be a good segue to show where the clone troopers turned into stormtroopers, because that's when they started children. Because Janna's New Order trooper, so she's probably 20. So that means at Return of the Jedi, they were already collecting children for.
They were starting to create the New Order,
and clearly all the stormtroopers before that aren't clones, because none of them sound like Tamora Morrison.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think
that's what I thought that was a really cool little ode they did in this episode. And Bo-Katan's like, she just knew. She's like, I've heard that voice. You're a clone. Like, we know that there are some stormtroopers that aren't clones, but when we hear your voice, we know you're from the old age of the clones. And I thought that was a really, in that one sentence, that's what I got from it.
Yeah.
Bo-Katan was just like, we know that voice, we've heard that over and over again. So it's like there is a little bit of like it's been phased out a little bit, but they do still recognize which ones are from the original clone batch or whatever.
Yeah. And then, so two shows that I want to touch on just gently is Visions and A Droid Story. Visions is going to be a new animated short, so I think it's going to be more of an anime type thing. So you corridor boys will love it.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, we're huge anime fans. Oh man, you just reminded me. I gotta catch up on the new Attack on Titan season that's coming out on Hulu right now.
Nice.
Attack on Titan is probably my favorite anime to ever come out, behind like Death Note. But what is the main storyline of Visions? Who is the characters that I would know, or anybody?
I don't know if they've even said anything. I think it's an artist representation of certain things in Star Wars.
Oh no, I heard it was actually like an anthology. Like every episode might be a different anime or animated thing, kind of like Love, Death, and Robots was on Netflix. Maybe not different styles and all that stuff,
Yeah.
but maybe some different little takes on different Star Wars stories that we do know, or different developments and
It'd
stuff.
be great if that's what they did. I don't know too much about that. I don't know much about A Droid Story.
I feel like that's like going to be a little kids show, little R2D2 and C3PO maybe going on some like little fun
Yeah.
kid adventures and stuff. So have you dove into any VR video gaming or anything like that?
Yeah.
So I've played I have my Oculus Quest 2 right here next to my desk. All the Vader Immortals, there's 3 episodes, and then there's this new Galaxy's Edge game, which I mean, talk about being immersed in Star Wars. I mean, it's VR, like you're in it. And then obviously I have Squadrons for VR too. So like I've been basically a real Star Wars fighter pilot, and
Yeah.
and I actually have this like hand and stick thing for my PC. So I'm wearing the VR headset, but I'm also hitting a throttle and a stick while playing Squadrons, and I'm basically a TIE fighter pilot or an X-wing pilot, and it's the coolest thing. I mean, Star Wars. I mean, I'm in a way, like, even though it's controversial or a bad decision to other people, like, take it over, Disney. Give me everything that I want when it comes to Star Wars. Give me all of it. The VR games, the TV shows, the new movies, whatever it is.
Yep.
I'm all about it.
Oh yeah, I'm the same way. I think I'm glad the Mandalorian came out because I think it's going to be a real game changer for how Disney handles everything from now on. Because they do realize that you want fan service, but you also want new stories. Seven
That's
was
the main thing. Yeah.
Seven was a rehash of A New Hope, but
That was my problem with it. I'm watching it and I'm like, while it looks beautiful, like honestly, the new trilogy is the most good looking stuff. I mean, obviously the Mandalorian looks great too now, but like seeing like when it's just the action and it's just the worlds, like it looks better than ever. And obviously the story though, I'm watching 7. I'm like, and I remember being in the theater. I'm like, this is the 4th movie. It's I mean, it might be turned off.
lightsaber.
I didn't know. I just used the force to turn it off.
You did raise your hand.
Yeah, no, because it also keeps making a constant noise. So it was bothering me, so I had to just turn it off. But yeah, I mean, like it looks the best, but it's just like that was a problem with me. It's like they're using the same exact story. It's just the Star Killer instead of the Death Star.
Yeah, another Death Star.
But it was the same thing, and so that's why I think I liked The Last Jedi a lot, because it wasn't. Because coming off of what that was, it was like, okay, they're not just doing the same story we did. And that's why I'm glad that they're investing so much into these series, because I think I mean, I hate to say it, but like people want more than a 2-hour movie sometimes, and so when you can do a 10-episode series, you can really develop the characters, and you can really tell the stories and really get deep into the characters. And so I'm really glad that they're investing like the time and love that they're putting into the series, because sure, you can make another movie, but you got to kind of wrap it up, versus in a series you can really like go different ways and really go into the different characters and really go deep into their motivations and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
I only hope that all these new shows that we're getting can match and live up to the level of Mandalorian stuff we're getting today.
Oh yeah, I think it will. I mean, also one of the next shows that we've got is Andor,
Oh
2022.
yeah, that too. Which I mean, it's right in the timeline we were talking about.
Yeah,
Rogue One was so awesome, and it's going to be cool to explore that guy a little bit more.
yeah, and more K2SO, the best droid that Star Wars ever created.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, that's going to be. I mean, we're going to get a lot more of him, and I thought that was cool. And I mean, we didn't even talk about R2D2 coming in the Mandalorian. Like, I was like, because they just hit you out of nowhere. Because like Luke is totally enough.
Yeah,
Like Luke is fine, but when you're sitting there and they're just having a conversation, all of a sudden R2D2 just walks into the room. You're just like, I'm cheering, dude. I'm
yeah,
literally like I'm sitting on this couch here, back here, and I darkened this room because I was like, oh my god, the new Mandalorian episode is out. And I totally forgot, and I definitely want to watch it before we do this podcast.
yeah,
So I like darkened my room, and I was like, I'm gonna watch this, and blasted the volume, and it was, I mean, you know, I'm just happy that this show is out and we're getting all this Star Wars stuff.
yeah, yeah. It's so good. You wouldn't even think, like you said, R2D2 coming in, and then he comes in and he does the little dance for Grogu. And
Yeah.
it was like, oh, this is amazing. This is exactly what we needed, like in this tense moment, you know.
Yeah, they just relieve that tension, just him pulling up that third leg, and they kind of just stare at each other and get some beautiful shots of them just
Hmm.
having this moment. And you're just like, oh man, this is like, that's the thing. That's the kind of the feeling I had when it was happening. It was just like, this is the new age of Star Wars. Because I was just like, when I was watching that scene, I was just like, well, like imagine you're 10 years old right now, and this is your new Star Wars. You know, like
Yeah,
this is the new stuff you're getting, and it's just like maybe you're a bigger fan of Grogu than you are of R2D2 because he's newer to you,
yeah,
and you didn't grow up with them like we did, you know. So if you're 10 years old, 10 to 12 years old by right now, you're like, oh my god, I love Grogu so much, and now there's this R2D character that I'm familiar with from all these other things that I've seen, and
hmm,
it's really bringing it all together,
yeah.
like amazing. Oof, dog's gonna be barking. Somebody rang the doorbell. All good.
Classic. There's 3 other projects. We'll dive into them super quick. The Acolyte is going to be one of the next series that actually is going to follow the new direction that Star Wars wants to head with comic books and books and everything, which is the High Republic.
Interesting.
So we're going to get, I think, 200 years before A New Hope. So we're getting a young Yoda,
Oh wow.
and kind of to the point where the Jedi Order was the leader in peace, and it wasn't a Senate thing. It wasn't any big deal. It was just kind of this is when the Jedi were at their best. And you would think that 1, 2, and 3 is when we see.
That 1, 2, and 3 is that, but it's actually before that because I guess the prequel is like the beginning of their downfall.
So that's going to be a great new series from Leslie Headland, which I'm excited about. Taika Waititi is working on his film still.
Dude, yeah, I'm glad he was involved. Him being in that first season of Mandalorian as a droid even was just
Yeah, I just love Taika Waititi play a character like in Ragnarok. He was so good, and he's
oh,
like,
dude.
oh, there's Doug. You know,
Yeah, totally.
rocks. So I'm excited for that. We don't know anything about that yet, so it could happen in any part of the timeline.
Yeah, I mean, we're already having to wait a full year for this Boba Fett's book, the book of Boba Fett.
But we're also going to get Mandalorian season 3, so we're getting 2 things next year
Coming around at the same time, I would assume.
because we've been so good. But next movie that comes out is Rogue Squadron, Christmas of 2023. So we have to wait 2 more years for
Oh,
a
wow.
movie. But we're getting it from Patty Jenkins, who did Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's got to be pretty solid.
Yeah, so it's obviously going to be a very female-driven show or movie. And you know what? Maybe that's where we get Nora Wexley, who is Snap Wexley's mom. I mean, she was huge.
Yeah?
But also, I would love an Iden Versio after she turns to the good side.
That's crazy. I guess before that, you got to play Star Wars Squadrons if you haven't already, because you play both sides of the Rebels and the Empire, and you play both sides of being X-wing pilot and a TIE fighter pilot. So
Yeah, I'm about 2 hours into that game.
okay, cool. Yeah, I think there's a couple things that happen in that game that could guide a little bit of what that Squadrons movie is going to be about.
Okay, well, good. No spoilers.
Yeah, I kept that one pretty spoiler
Yeah,
free.
thanks. So that's basically all the new Star Wars stuff that we have coming out film wise. Obviously, we're going to have a ton of books, ton of comic books. There's also talks of possibly a Battlefront 3.
Dude. Oh, okay. So that's the last thing I wanted to bring up was the biggest disappointment in all of Star Wars for me is Republic Commando never got a sequel. Did you play that game?
I did. It was Halo Star Wars, basically.
Yeah, I mean, where the heck? I love that game. I mean, obviously you got to play all the different roles. You basically got to delve into all the four roles of being in a clone squadron. You
Yeah.
know, the guy that disarms the bomb, the assault leader, the tech guy, and they left it on such a big cliffhanger and never gave you a second game. That is the only real critique I can really give all of Star Wars is that they never made another one of those. They took one of your squadrons away and the story, one of your guys away, and the story's over, and you never got to resolve it. So
Yeah.
that would be my one unfortunate disappointment because I was such a big Xbox guy growing up, and that was one of the top Star Wars Xbox games that was around, and unfortunately, we never got to see that story play out.
Yeah, and 2005 was such a good year for Star Wars because we got Revenge of the Sith, we got Republic Commando,
Which was a great game, also.
Lego Star Wars Battlefront 2, and Star Wars Episode 3, the
Wow,
game.
those are all 2005.
Yeah, all 2005.
Those are all, those are probably outside of Fallen Order. And I mean, if you really want to get it, Knights of the Old Republic
Oh, boy.
was the best, the first one.
That's
But
coming to mobile.
I know that'll be interesting. I got it on a Steam sale, so I still have 1 and 2 on Steam, and I just have to go back through them all. Because I think I bought this huge Steam sale recently, and I have basically all the Star Wars games from like the Jedi Knight series and stuff. But I didn't actually get to play all of those, so I still have to go back and do them all. But obviously, dealing with a little bit of old gen graphics and stuff, and there's so much cool, beautiful looking stuff out right now, it's hard to go backwards. But
Yeah. One of my favorite games that I always go back to with Star Wars is Shadows of the Empire. And I would love to see live action Dash Rendar and Lebo, his droid, who was just an asshole. That's one thing from Star Wars I really want to see happen is the Shadows of the Empire, Prince Shizor, and
and his droid,
all those people be amazing.
I mean, hey, you never know. I mean, I'm excited at everything they're throwing at us, and I'm down for it all.
Yeah,
I mean, again, I think when just back to the beginning of our conversation, like you can give me good stories and good stuff that that doesn't feel like you said the fan pandering, but like give us some new stuff that just expands that world for us, and I think we'll be happy. So
yeah,
I think Mandalorian's the first step in that direction.
yeah, absolutely. So, Christian,
Yeah.
thanks so much for joining me.
Hey man, thanks for having
It
me.
was so good to catch up after 5 years.
I can't actually believe it's been 5 years. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's been a long. It's been 5 years since we've met and slash interacted with each other. But
yeah.
yeah, it's been a lot of changes since then. And no, I'm glad we can catch up. And thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely love Corridor Digital. Where can the listeners find everything Corridor?
Yeah, Corridor. Obviously, our main distribution is YouTube. We have youtube.com/corridor, which is our filmmaking VFX kind of stuff. We have Corridor Crew, which is our more reality show VFX project, also where our most popular show, VFX Artist React, lives. We also do a podcast at Corridor Cast and Node, where we do some gaming. And that's what Corridor does. We do YouTube, and we also have a video on demand website at corridordigital.com if you want to check that out for some exclusive content over there.
Awesome. And where can we find you on social media?
And yeah, I mean, I'm on Twitter and Instagram. I mostly use Instagram. That's probably where I post the most content. So I'm just C_Fergerstrom. That's for Christian, and then my last name is Fergerstrom. So C_Fergerstrom is where you can find me on Instagram. I believe it's the same on Twitter. So
Yeah. Well, they'll find you. They'll find you
yeah,
either way.
you'll be able to find me if you follow Corridor. Same thing on the social medias. We're tagging each other all the time, and we're posting all the time. So it shouldn't be too hard to find.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you so much for joining the show. It was great having you on.
No, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. To our listeners, subscribe to our show on all podcast platforms. Have a drink with me Follow us on all social media at HADWM and check out our store, shop.hadwm.com. Thanks for listening.